Today's chat is all about basically self-sabotage. So the things that people do to sabotage themselves out of results, and basically ways that you can tackle it as well. So I've got about 15 key points. Some may relate to you, some may not relate to you. So I'll spend a little bit of time on each one, and then I'll give some time for questions at the end as well. All right, first one is negative self-talk. So, negative self-talk can be a number of different things, but just I've got a couple of examples here. So, stuff like I'll never lose weight, it's just impossible for me. Why bother? I'll never look the way that I want. I always fail whenever I start things. So, I'm sure there's many people in this group or on this call that have done this before. You start to have a lot of negative stuff that you say about yourself, and it starts to creep in. And it might not just be things that you say, it might just be things that you start to think as well. So um, it's always a tough one because do see this one a lot with negative self-talk. Um, the only thing with being negative about yourself, it does keep you stuck in a lot of guilt and frustration. And when you're just focused on all the negative all the time, it's very hard to move forward towards growth and progress as well. So, a couple of things that I think you need to do is first, every time you start to think something negatively or you start to say it out loud negatively or even write it down, I think the first thing you need to do is you need to stop yourself. You need to recognize that you're being very self-critical and you need to reframe your language. So rather than I'll never lose weight, it might be I haven't lost weight yet, but I know if I keep on doing all the things I'm meant to be doing, like training, nutrition, I'm going to eventually get to my goal. So rather than why bother, I'll never look the way that I want. I don't currently look the way that I want, but I know if I stick to the plan, do all the right things, and I tick off uh, my daily goals that I set for myself, I'll know I'll eventually get there. So the best thing with negative self-talk is recognize it straight away. All right, that you're being critical of yourself and try and reframe it into something positive, like you're not where you want to be yet. And you need to do that when you're thinking these thoughts, when you're saying them out loud, or even if you're writing them down as well. And I think the best thing to do is rather than think negatively and get frustrated where you're not where you want to be, the best thing you can do is start to focus on positives and start to focus on trying to get little wins. So rather than focus on I'm not at my end goal yet, start focusing on the things I need to do each day. Like I need to track my food. I need to hand in my food diary. I need to complete a workout today. All right. That way you're focusing on the things that are going to actually get to your goal rather than being negative about not getting to your goal yet. And you always just got to celebrate progress as well. All right. I've said it a million times before, but you always got to focus on progress over perfection. No one's ever going to 100% be great. I know I'm not at all. So there's times where I stuff up my diet. There's times when I miss a workout. There's times where I have a blowout on the weekend, and it's totally fine. But it's all about making progress rather than perfection. And just for those that just jumped on the call, I'll just reiterate what I talked about negative self-talk. So basically, whenever you're talking negative about yourself, recognize it, stop, all right, and replace it with a reframe of something positive. Like I'm not at my goal weight yet. However, I know if I do A, B, and C, I'm eventually going to get to my goal weight. So it's really important not to be critical of yourself because you just live in that guilt, frustration, and it's a never-ending cycle. All right, next one, and this is a real common one that I see, all or nothing thinking. So people, they're either 100% on track or it's totally out the window and they just don't do anything. So if people live in that mindset where it's sort of like I'm in a challenge mindset, I'm like 100% going to be training 6 days a week, 100% on my diet, and then if you don't hit that, then you go into I'm totally off track and it's total complete failure. So we want to get out of the all or nothing mindset because if you have a mindset where I'm all in or I'm all out, that mindset leads to burnout and it just ends to endless cycle of starting over and over and over and over. And I'm sure many people have done this in my group or on this call where you go all in and then you get burnt out and then you give up and then you stop for a while and then you'd be like, I'll start on Monday or I'll start in the new year or I'll start when the kids go back to school, something like that. So rather than being all in or all out, focus again on these people coming in. So just give me one moment. Aim for progress over perfection. All right. So when people try and be perfect, that's when they're all in. They're like, every food diary has to be 100%. I have to complete every single workout. I have to hit my steps. And if I don't, I'm a complete failure and I might as well just give up. And people do get in that mindset. So think of progress over perfection. Small wins each week add up to a massive result over time. And people that usually go all in, they're the ones that are doing like 4 week challenges, 6 week challenges. They go hard, and then as soon as it's over, it all goes out the door. All right. And you need to celebrate small wins. So, small wins along the way really help. So, if you completed all your workouts, that's a celebration. If you created a new healthy habit that you've never done before, that's a win. So focus on the little wins that all add up to a big, really big result rather than focusing on the big result. Also, if you also with the all or nothing, if things aren't going right, you're more likely to give up. So rather than quitting altogether, if you slip up or you lose focus for a little bit, that's fine. It's totally normal. Just get yourself back into the right mindset, refocus on what you need to do. So don't turn like one bad day into a bad week or a bad month, and then it's like a total blowout of your results, okay? It's normal to slip up. It's totally normal. So just move on to the next day. Don't dwell on it too much, okay? So let's get out of the all or nothing mindset. Let's just focus on small wins each day. As long as you're improving, it's fine. So if the weights are slowly going up, that's fine. If you're slowly eating better each week, that's fine. If you're getting closer each week to your protein goal, then you're winning, okay? Next one, perfectionism disguised as discipline, all right? So you don't have to do everything perfectly to see a result. Honestly, if you're 80% good, you're probably going to still get an awesome result, to be honest with you. Obviously, my job is to get you as close to 100% as possible, but it's totally fine. So, a lot of people in this group thus far had really awesome measurements and their weights are going down. And I guaranteed if I went through their food diaries, their workout diaries, their steps and everything, probably no one was even over 80% adherent to everything they did. So, it's fine. Don't worry about being perfect because if you worry about perfect, you're losing the point of it, which is just consistency. So the people that get really awesome transformations or are in amazing shape, all they are is consistent for longer periods of time. That's all. All right. So I'd consider myself in decent shape for my age. Only reason is because I've just been training longer, tracking my food longer, hitting my steps longer. And when you do it over a long period of time, you'll have like an epic result. Trust me. All right. Set realistic standards for yourself as well. So don't compare yourself to others at all. Wherever you're at now, just try and progress from where you're at now. So if you're at someone who's just for the first time learning about nutrition, learning about calories, learning about protein, that's fine. Just focus on getting little wins. If you're new to weight training, just focus on learning the exercises rather than trying to be perfect at everything. And again, it's all about little wins. Don't get fixated on being perfect. Just fixated on doing better than what you did last week. That's the main thing. As long as you're better than last week, you'll do really well. All right, this is a little bit more on what people might do to try and get a result. So I see this quite a lot. This is people, it's almost punishment, I must admit. It is under eating and overtraining. So just trying to push yourself harder and harder because you think you'll get results faster. But the only problem is if you eat really low food and you overtrain, you just stress the body. And what happens is you'll get an immediate result at the start, but then what will happen is your body will adjust that low amount of food, and when your body adjusts that low amount of food, your metabolism adjusts. So it starts to slow down, and you get very efficient on eating a low amount of food. So it's fool's gold to try and think I'll just keep on under eating and I'll get an amazing result. You'll lose weight fast at the start, then your weight will steady, and then you'll stop losing weight. And because you've been under eating so much, you don't have anywhere longer to drop your calories to, and so you're stuck with the slowed down metabolism, essentially. All right. So the solution is make sure you fuel your body properly. Make sure you're always having enough protein because protein is what's going to retain muscle as much as possible. making sure you have some carbohydrates because that will give you energy during your training, and healthy fats. All right. The goal of this program is to train smart, not just hard. All right. So you don't need to go on some crazy exercise regime at all. 3 to 5 days a week is completely fine. And if you structure your strength trainings and you've got progressive overload and you're doing a little bit of cardio and hitting your steps, you'll get a great result, honestly. And you need to prioritize rest and recovery. All right. So if you're under recovered and so you're overtraining and not having enough food, way more open to injuries, way more if your body's not recovered and you haven't had enough nutrients to actually serve your recovery. So the people that undereat, overtrain, more likely to get injured, more likely to have your metabolism slowed down, and it's going to kill your results eventually. So you just got to be very careful on that. And that's why after you get to your goal weight, we always want to get your calories back to maintenance level. So you increase your food again. All right. This is another common thing that people do to sabotage results. Second guessing the plan. Okay. So if the result, what people do, if the result doesn't come fast enough, they think it isn't working and they try to switch plan and do something different. The only problem, if you're constantly switching all the time, basically what you're doing is just starting from scratch again, over and over and over. Anytime you have a plan, you need to stick to it long enough so it has a chance to actually work. So you need to commit to it long term so you actually see real progress. Switching from different programs, different types of eating, stuff like that, it's not good for the body. Never has a chance to get a result. You're always starting again. It's like starting again on Monday over and over and over. So you just got to be patient because with the science behind it, so having less food than what your body needs and having progressive overload, it does work. You just need to give it time. That's all it is. It's just doing it for longer. And the reality is, most of the time, someone who is trying to lose weight or lean down, you've probably had months or years of having too much food or not training enough. And it's going to take longer than a couple of weeks for it all to come off. So you just got to be patient, give yourself enough time. Don't second guess things because when you're second guessing if it's working or not, you're not focusing on what you should be focusing on, which is actually hitting your daily targets. All right, am I hitting my calories? Am I hitting my protein? Am I hitting my workout? Am I hitting my steps? All right. So when you're thinking about the plan, you're not sure if it's working or not, you really need to actually just measure if it's working. That's why we do photos, we do measurements, we do some body fat testing. In your check-ins, I ask you how you're feeling on the program. So you actually want to have measurable markers of whether it's working or not working. So if ever anyone comes to me and they say, I feel like it's not working, I'm always going to go straight back to them and go, all right, have we done your measurements? Have we done your weight? How are your clothes fitting? What are your photos like? Because I'm actually looking for measurable markers. We never go on how we feel. All right, we actually want to go on evidence whether we need to make changes or not. Now, if we do ever need to make changes, we don't change everything at once. We make small tweaks. It might be we need to do a little bit extra cardio. It might be increase your steps. It might be take your food a little bit down. So there's always options there rather than throwing the whole thing away. All right, the when I get there thinking. So this is another thing as well where people are so focused on the end result and they're not focused on the little wins along the way. So I see this all the time. People don't allow themselves to be happy until they get to like a certain goal weight. Whereas what we really need to do is we need to focus on the process and enjoying the process rather than focused on the end goal. Because when you focus on the end goal, it's going to be so far away in the future, you're just going to get frustrated that you haven't hit it. And when you live in a world of frustration, one, it's not inducive to getting a result because you're not going to focus on what you need to do on the day to day, and the process doesn't become enjoyable at all. So you sort of have to fall in love with a little bit of with training and healthy eating and the day to day of hitting your targets rather than having all your focus on, hey, I'm only going to be happy when I hit 65 kilos or 70 kilos or 55 kilos, whatever your goal weight is that you want to get to. All right. What we really need to do is we need to focus on the day-to-day achievements and celebrate wins along the way. So it might be, you know what I mean? It might be a new habit that you formed. It might be, hey, this week I completed 3 strength workouts and 2 cardio workouts. So it's a win along the way. So you've got to celebrate that. It might be that I learned how to track my calories properly. It might be just small little goal weights rather than your big one of 10 kilos. It might be celebrating when you've lost 1 kilo or two kilos. And that way you start to fall in love with the process a little bit rather than just get hung up on a number all the time. And where we really want to have all our focus is rather than the end goal, we want to focus on the day-to-day process. So anyone who ever follows any sorts of sports, every sporting team in the world has the same goal. They want to win the final or they want to finish on top of the table or whatever it is. They all have the same goal. But they never focus on that. They always focus on the day-to-day process. What are they going to do? What training sessions do I need to complete? Whatever they've got to do, what sessions, what recovery they need to do. That's where you really need to focus on your daily commitments. So every single person that I sat down with in this group, when we went through your end goal, as soon as we wrote down the end goal, your weight that you wanted to hit, straight afterward, I went, okay, what weekly tasks are you going to complete? And that's where you have to shift your mindset is to focus on what are my weekly tasks. They will all add up to the end goal anyway. And you got to have those wins. Like when you start to complete your weekly tasks, like for example, if you hit your step count for the week, or you hit your calorie target for the week, or your protein target, that's all a win. Those will all add up. Now, I'm pretty sure there's only a couple of people that have had a full week where they've actually hit every single target in a 1 week. So that's where I'd be focusing straight away all my efforts. Can I hit all my targets all in 1 week? I'm pretty sure there's only 2 people who've done that so far. All right, this is another one which I think quite a few people have been guilty of this one, unfortunately, which is scale obsession. All right. So if the number on the scale hasn't changed, you're a complete failure. And I think everyone's been in that at some stage. So basically, letting one number dictate your mood, your effort, your self-worth. All right. So when you weigh yourself, your body weight is not, it's not a fat weight. So when you weigh yourself, you're not weighing fat, unfortunately. You're weighing fat, muscle, bones, organs, water, and there's so many things that go into what will affect your weight. So, for example, if you've not gone to the toilet, that's going to add to your weight. If you're on your menstrual cycle, that's going to add to your weight. If you've had a high carbohydrate meal, carbohydrates tend to hold water more, you're probably going to have higher weight. If you've had some alcoholic drinks the night before, surprisingly, you'll actually be a little bit dehydrated from the next morning, so your actually weight will be a little bit down. So if you've done a really late workout and you've sweated heaps the night before, you probably have less water in your body, so your weight will be down. So your weight is going to fluctuate all the time. That's why we take it on a daily and take an average of it to see if it's going down. So that's one metric of many metrics that we measure. We also measure, all right, is your strength increasing? Are your energy levels in your workout still high? Have your body measurements gone down? Are your clothes fitting better? So we need to have an overall picture rather than being obsessed with just the scale. All right. And the reality is, when you're doing so much weight training, there may be a chance where your measurements might go down a lot. However, you've probably built some muscle along the way, and so your weight may not change that much. But then when you look at photos, you look at measurements, there's a massive change there. So we need to get out of being obsessed with the scales and just treat it as another metric along with a number of them to measure if we're moving in the right direction. All right, this is another one, unfortunately, that lots of people can be guilty of, and it can be comparison a trap, and it can be a number of things. So it could be comparing yourself to other people in the group. It could be comparing yourself to other people that you know in your workplace. If you go to school in your work in school, could be other people in your family, or these days with social media, it could be literally comparing yourself to other people on social media. Okay, it really steals focus and steals motivation, and it can lead to frustration. So my recommendation, first off, is if there's any social media accounts that you follow, then you're gonna get you triggered, I would be unfollowing them straight away. All right. And then also we need to learn that you're running your own race. So everyone has different backgrounds. So different genetics, different backgrounds. You have been someone that have dieted many times before, and if you dieted many times before, it might be a little bit harder for you to lose weight. If you're someone who's never been a diet in your life and this is the first time, it may come off quite quickly. Um, there might be times where you've had injuries before that might hold you back. You might not be able to do all the training. So it really is focusing on your own progress. Everyone's running their own race. You can't compare yourself to others at all. All right, so just focus on the wins that you can make and celebrate the progress that you can make. All right, so it's all about hitting small wins and adding up those small wins all the way, and always focusing on perfection, progress, not perfection, and try not to compare yourself to others. Everyone's unique, everyone's different. You're running your own journey. All right, there's going to be times where you're smashing it and other people are struggling. There's going to be times where other people are smashing it and you're struggling. So it's about your own journey, not anyone else's. And social media is very dangerous for this. And we all know that everyone posts their best life possible on Instagram. So if you, usually people aren't going as well as what they say on Instagram. So be careful of who you're following. That would be my advice. I don't follow anyone, so I wouldn't know. All right. Another one, this sort of leads in some of the other ones, but just being impatient. So you just got to just be patient with yourself. You can't expect to, in 6 weeks, to undo 6 years of bad habits. Okay. So don't get frustrated at all. Just accept that it's going to take a little bit of time, but as long as it's heading in the right direction, that's the main thing. So I think most people probably overemphasize, probably believe they can achieve more in 12 weeks what they can, but they underestimate what they can achieve in 12 months. So they overestimate what they can achieve in 12 weeks, but underestimate what they can do in 12 months. So my recommendation is don't be too impatient, just take time. Honestly, if everything's heading in the right direction, if the weight's slowly going down, the measurements are slowly going down, your weights that you're lifting in the gym are going up, you're getting fitter with your cardio, and then all your little targets, you're slowly getting better at hitting them. Honestly, all that adds up, and before you know it, it'll honestly be an epic result. And I've seen it hundreds of times before, but I've also seen people be very impatient. And when they get impatient, they try to switch plans, switch exercises, switch diets, try something completely new, and it never works out. So you just got to be patient. All right, this is another one. So needing motivation to act. All right, so I'll start or I'll train or I'll whatever it is that you need to do, I'll wait till I'm motivated. The only problem is waiting for motivation doesn't work because most of the time people that are in a position where they want to make a change with their health and fitness is because they're being unmotivated. So unfortunately, what comes before motivation is actually discipline. So at the very start, you just have to be very disciplined with yourself. So you have to be disciplined with trying to hit your daily steps, hit your calories, hit your protein, because at the start, if you're disciplined, most likely what's going to happen is you're going to hit some wins. Like you're going to see your weight go down a little bit. You're going to see that you're performing better in the gym. You might see some physical changes, or you'll feel good that you're hitting your targets. What that starts to do is that starts to build momentum. And once you start seeing a result and start building a little bit of momentum, that's when motivation comes. So it starts with discipline first, discipline to hit all your targets. Once you hit all your targets, you're going to start to see a bit of a result. Once you start seeing a result, then you'll find that your motivation kicks in. I'm already seeing it with a few people in the group. Now that they've seen their weight go down or the measurements go down, all of a sudden they're fucking hitting steps. They're coming in for extra cardio. I'm getting all these notifications that workouts are being done. And that's because they're starting to believe that it's working. So discipline first, get a small result, get a few wins. Once you get some wins, that will then get you motivated, not the other way around. So you can't wait to be motivated. You got to do discipline first. All right. So the victim mindset. So feeling like everything is against you. So it's hard for you. You know, you're always tired. My metabolism is broken. Other people get results faster than me. So all that sort of stuff for me, it's just a little bit of a victim mindset in there, where what we really need to do is we just need to take ownership of your actions. So focus on what you can control. What you can control is you can control what you put in your mouth every single day, and you can control tracking it. You can control what you do for your training, and you can control what you do for your recovery. So just focus on everything you can control, not everything that's hard around you, okay? And the best thing that I think you can do is rather than I can't language, this is what I will do, or this is what I can do. And if you're ever finding things that are hard, like work schedule's hard, life schedule's hard, family schedule's hard, just break things down into small little chunks. Okay, what can I do each day or each week that's achievable? And you'll be surprised is when you set little achievable targets, and you start to get a bit of progress, that's when you'll start to get out of that mindset. But you can't get into that. I'm hard, I'm tired, I can't go in, I'm sore, all that sort of stuff. You need to scrap all that out of your mind and start to focus on what you actually can do and what you can control. All right, people pleasing. So, people pleasing is where you put everyone else first and you take care of yourself last. So, prioritizing work, family, all that sort of stuff, school, ahead of your health and fitness. Unfortunately, when you prioritize everything else in your life and people please, you're not going to leave anything, any time or any energy for yourself to actually get what you need to get done. So you need to set some boundaries. So you need to make a time for your workouts, your meals, any self-care that you need to do, and you need to prioritize that, put it in a schedule. So regardless of what's happening, is I'm scheduling my workout. So I work out 6 days a week. I'm never missing a fucking workout, whatever comes up. So unfortunately, if a client messages me, sorry guys, or Emma wants something from me, it's not happening because the workout's going in first because I know that's going to get me a result. When I plan out my meals as well, plan out 7 days of meals in advance, plan out all my workouts in advance because I know it's a priority for me. All right. Now, when you schedule all these things, they become non-negotiable appointments. You never wake up and decide whether you're going to train or not, or you never wake up and decide what you're going to be eating for the day. You should know in advance when you're training, what you're eating, and it should be a non-negotiable appointment that you set in there. Also, as well, when it comes to people pleasing, when you're in a better space, so if you're in a better space with your health and fitness, you're generally probably going to be a better health in a better space mentally as well. And then you're going to be better for everyone else anyway around you. So if it's helping family, friends in the workplace, you're always going to be in a better spot mentally if your health and fitness is in a better spot as well. All right. Over identifying with the struggle. All right. So I see this quite a lot all the time as well. You've always been one of those people who struggles to lose weight, and your identity is tied with being the struggler. Okay, I'm always struggling to lose weight. I can never lose weight, and you hold on to it. So, unfortunately, if you want to get to where you want to go to, we need to refocus your story, okay, and focus on what you want to become, not what you want to be. All right. And again, it comes down, there's a lot of common threads in here where I always talk about little successes, little progress. If you get a win each week, so if you hit your targets each day, that's a win. If you get to your daily averages and you get them, that's a win. All those small little wins along the way adds up to really big successes and reinforces a new identity. All right. So if you can just do like half a kilo a week or hit your three workouts, track your food, all those small wins over a year, it's like amazing the change that you can make. All right. And it's that mindset of little wins, adding them together, focusing on progress over perfection. That's the key to it. All right. And then also, if you want to re-identify yourself, and it might not be someone who struggles to lose weight, but you might identify who's someone who's never really been into health and fitness. Well, we need to have to act like your future self. So if you're someone who's never really trained, always struggled with your food, and you want to realign yourself to a healthy and fit person, well, we have to think about what will my future self do? What is someone who's super fit and healthy? What do they do every day? So, okay, they probably do eat healthy meals. They probably do plan out their meals in advance. They probably do a certain amount of sessions per week. They are quite active. On the weekends, they probably don't have massive blowouts on the weekend. So start to think about the future person that you want to become. What would they do on a day-to-day basis? And that's where your focus should be. All right, this is another one that I see as well. Living in the past. So comparing yourself to your old self. All right. So thinking, I used to be way skinnier, or I used to find it way easier to lose weight, or whatever it is, comparing yourself what you used to be, like old photos of when you looked your best. So we can't be living in the past, okay? You need to focus on where you're at now and what you need to do moving forward. So this is one that I know I've even done before. I remember looking at my photos of myself when I was like 30, thinking, like how strong I was in shape there. And I remember the first thing I had to do was snap out of it. I need to own the situation I'm in today, and what do I need to do moving forward to get in the best shape possible. But the only time where this living the past can become valuable is when you start to learn from previous attempts and what didn't work and what did work. So that's the only thing that I would say is you can learn from the past of what not to do or where you failed previously and what you need to do something better, what you need to do differently in the future. But the last thing we want to do is living in the, hey, I used to look like this, or I used to fit into this dress, or I look good in this photo. All right, we need to focus forward and focus on what you need to do today to get to where you want to go. All right. And again, another common thread, like is at the bottom, it's about celebrating the little wins that you're having along the way and just taking it 1 week at a time. All those little wins all add up to massive progress over time. All right. Next one. I'm sorry, but there are a few people that do this, unfortunately, which is overthinking every little decision. Should I eat this? Should I train the right way? Did I do enough? What's in this food? What's in that food? Did I do this perfectly? Was this perfectly? What's way more important than being perfect is literally just being consistent and taking action. So I'd rather someone just not overanalyze their food, but say eat 80% healthy, get cracking on their workouts, even if they're not the best workouts in the world, and then it's way, way easy. If you're just consistent every week, you track your food to the best of your ability, you eat 80% healthy, 20% treats, you generally come in and do 3 weight sessions a week, maybe a couple of cardio sessions. Honestly, you will kick ass. Now, if you're someone that does get overwhelmed with overthinking about what to eat, best thing to do is just follow a plan. All right. So if, for example, it's food that you get overwhelmed with what to eat, what not to eat, what's healthy, what's not healthy, literally plan your week of food in advance. Then you know exactly what to eat, when you're going to eat it, so it's easy to make a decision. And if you have to, eat the same shit every day. That's what I do. All right. I don't like thinking about it, don't like analyzing it. So I just eat similar stuff every single day. It makes it easy for me. Then I don't have to think too hard. And it's one decision less that I have to make. Another thing is, which well, you're all doing anyway, is following a structured training program. Best thing about training programs for me is when I write them, don't have to think anymore. Just go in, do what it says, beat what I did last time, takes the decision out of my hands, makes it easy. All right. I sort of talked about this earlier. Focus on just getting the work done rather than having every detail to be perfect. So if you don't track something 100% perfect, that's fine. Just track it anyway. Like I've seen people with their food and they'll come back to me and there's like half a day missing in their food diary. And I'm like, what, did you not eat for half a day? No, but I was out at a party, so I didn't track it. It's like, no, just track it. Doesn't matter if it's not 100% perfect. Just the fact that you're doing the work, that you're tracking it is better than not doing it. And it's cool as you go along and as you're taking action. If it's not perfect, it's fine because you can make small tweaks, you just get better at over time. So, for example, I have people following a training program and I will see their training program and there's like 3 exercises they didn't do. And why didn't you do it? It's like, I'm not sure what I was doing. Just have a crack anyway. It's fine. Just have a go at the workout. Anything you're not sure how to do, just try it and come back to me if you're not sure. All right. So the key is just to take imperfect action and just do the work. And as you go along, we can get better each time. You get better at tracking food. You get better at hitting targets. All right. The worst thing is we can overanalyze it and trying to be perfect. All right. Gee, give me one moment.